Tom Sawyer lives in St. Petersburg, a small village next to the long Mississippi River. Tom lives with his Aunt Polly because his parents are dead. Tom! Tom! Where is that boy? Tom! No answer. The old woman looked for Tom everywhere in the house. Well, I'll find you. She went to the open door and she looked into the garden. No Tom. Tom! She shouted. The woman was Tom's Aunt Polly. She heard something behind her. She turned quickly and she caught a small boy with her hand. There you are. Why were you in that clothes? What did you do there? Nothing, answered the boy. Nothing. Look at your hands. Look at your mouth. What is that? I don't know. Well, I know. It's sugar. And you took it from the kitchen. Aunt Polly's hand was ready. I'll hit you, she said. Oh! Aunt! Look behind you! Shouted Tom. She turned, and the boy ran out of the house. Aunt Polly started to laugh. That boy, she thought. He always does something different to me, and I never learn. How can I learn? He makes me angry. But then he makes me think, or he makes me laugh. Then I can't hit him. And he know it. He's my dead sister's son and I love him. I'm his parent now and I want to be the best parent for him. But how can I? A parent must punish their children. Hitting a child makes him a good person. But hitting Tom makes my heart sad. I don't want to hit him. Oh, what can I do? Aunt Polly made a plan. I'll make him work tomorrow, she thought. He won't like that because all the other boys have a holiday on Saturdays. Saturday came, and everyone was happy in the beautiful summer sun. But Tom had to work. Aunt Polly gave him a bucket of paint and a brush. Tom looked at the fence and he was not happy. The fence was high and very long. He put a little paint on the brush and then on the fence. Then he looked at his work. The white part was very small and the fence was very big. Tom sat down on the ground. Jim walked past with a water bucket. Young Jim lived with Tom's family and he worked for them. Today he had to get the water. Tom did not like that job, but it was better than painting. Jim, I'll get the water for you. Will you paint the fence? I can't, said Jim. Your aunt told me. She said, don't paint the fence for Tom. Don't be frightened of her, Jim. I'll get the water quickly and she'll never know. Oh, no. I can't. She'll hit me. Aunt Polly never hits anyone hard, said Tom. She only hits you on the head and that's nothing. Jim, I'll give you this ball. Jim began to think about it. He put the bucket on the ground and he took the ball in his hand. But he could not keep the ball because Aunt Polly came out of the house with a shoe in her hand. Jim quickly ran away with his bucket. Tom stood up with his brush again and Aunt Polly walked home with a smile. Ben Rogers came past and he saw Tom. "Poor you," said Ben. "I'm going to swim in the river, but you have to work." "What work?" said Tom. "Well, isn't painting work?" Tom started painting again. "Well, maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But I like it," he said. "No," said Ben. "You like it?" "Of course. Normally boys can't paint fences." Ben watched Tom and he thought about this. Soon he said, "Tom, can I paint for a minute?" Tom thought about it, but then said, "No, no. You see, Aunt Polly wants someone to paint this fence well. Only one boy in 1,000 can paint well. Oh, please. Can I try? Please?" "Ben, I want to say yes, but Aunt Polly won't like it." Jim wanted to paint, but she said no. "Oh, please? I'll give you my apple." Tom thought for a minute, then he gave Ben the brush. He sat down and he enjoyed the apple. More boys stopped and laughed at Tom, but then they all stayed to paint, too. And they paid Tom well. Before the end of the afternoon, the fence was white, and Tom was rich with apples. Tom went home. "Can I play now, Aunt?" he asked. "How much did you paint?" "The fence is all white." "Is that true, Tom?" "Yes, Aunt. It is white." Aunt Polly went to look at the fence. She was very happy. "You can have this apple," she said. "You'll enjoy it more because you worked hard for it." On Monday morning, Tom met Huckleberry Finn. Everyone in the village of St. Petersburg knew Huck. His mother was dead, and his father did not help him. His old, dirty clothes were too big because they were men's clothes. Huck was often hungry. But nobody told him to wash or to go to school or to wear shoes. He could fight. He could go to the bed late. He could say bad words. Because of this, every boy in the village wanted to be Huckleberry Finn. Mothers did not want their children near Huck. But of course, all their children wanted to play with him. "Hello, Huckleberry," said Tom. "What's that?" "It's a dead cat." "Why do you have it?" "To stop warts." "I know something better for warts," said Tom. "What?" asked Huck. "Rainwater in an old dead tree," said Tom. "Rainwater? That's no good," said Huck. "Did you try it?" asked Tom. "No, but Bob Tanner tried it," said Huck. Bob put his hand in the dead tree, and there was water in it. "Was it day or night?" asked Tom. "Day." "Was he looking at the tree?" "Yes." "Did he say anything?" asked Tom. "I don't know." "Uh-huh. Well, that's why it didn't work." "Rainwater works, but you have to do it the right way," said Tom. "I went at 12 o'clock at night, with no one. I walked toward the tree with my back to it. I put my hand behind me, into the water, and I said, 'Rainwater, rainwater, stop my warts.' Then I left with my eyes closed. I went home and didn't talk to anyone. Talking stops it working." "Well, Bob Tanner didn't do that," said Huck. "No, because Bob has more warts than anyone," said Tom. "I stopped thousands of warts with tree water." "But how do you use a dead cat?" "At night, you go to the new grave of a bad person," said Huck. "At 12 o'clock, ghosts come to take the body. You don't see the ghosts, but you hear them. You throw the dead cat at the ghosts. Then you say, ghost go with body. Cat go with ghost. Warts go with cat. I don't want you. When will you try it? Asked Tom. Tonight, said Huck. The ghosts will come for old Hoss Williams. But he was put in his grave on Saturday. Didn't the ghosts take him? How could they do that at 12 o'clock? It was Sunday then, said Huck. Ghosts can't do things on Sunday. I'll come with you, said Tom. Tom talked to Huck for a long time and he got to school late. The teacher punished him, but it did no matter Tom. He had something better to think about, a new student. She was the most beautiful girl in the world. She had blue eyes and yellow hair, and her name was Becky Thatcher. Before Becky, Tom loved Amy Lawrence. For many months he wanted Amy to love him, too. Finally, Amy said, I love you. For 7 days Tom was the happiest boy in the world. But now Tom forgot Amy and he thought only of Becky. Say, Becky, are you going to marry anyone? No, answered Becky. Would you like to? I don't know. How do you marry? You say yes, then you kiss the boy. Kiss? Why do you kiss? Why? Because, well, they always do that. Tom put his mouth close to Becky's ear and he said something very quietly. Then he said, now you say it to me, the same words. Turn your face away, Becky said. I don't want you to look at me. And you must never tell anyone, Tom. I won't tell anyone, Becky. She moved her head close to his and she said sweetly, I love you. Then she ran to a corner of the room. She sat and she hid her face. Tom sat next to Becky. Now we kiss, he said, and he kissed her mouth. We did it, Becky, he said. Now, you will always love me. Will you marry any other person? No, Tom, I'll only marry you. Will you always love me? Of course. And we'll walk to school together. It's nice, said Becky. I never knew about this. Oh, it is nice. Amy Lawrence and I dash. Tom saw Becky's big eyes and he stopped talking. Oh, Tom, said Becky and she began to cry. You didn't choose me first. Don't cry, Becky. I don't love her now. Yes, you do, Tom. Tom tried to take her hand, but she pushed him away. She cried and she cried. Tom thought, what can I do? What can I say? He left the room and he did not come back to school that day. Soon, Becky ran to the door. Tom, she shouted. Come here, Tom. She listened, but there was no answer. She sat down and she cried again. But soon she had to stop crying because the children came inside for afternoon school. That night, Tom heard Huck in the garden, and he went out through his bedroom window. After half hour, the boys were in the tall grass of the graveyard with the dead cat. They spoke very little and very quietly. Tom looked at the graves and heard the wind in the trees. He thought about the ghosts. Huck, do the dead people like as, he asked. I don't know. Shh. Tom held Huck's arm. What is it, Tom? Shh. There is it again. Did you hear it? There. Now you hear it, said Tom. Help, Tom. 3 ghosts, said Huck, they're coming. They're not ghosts, they're people. Or one of them is. It's old Muff Potter, said Tom. Let's hide behind these trees. The boys watched the three men. I know that second man, said Tom. That's Injun Joe. They're bad men, Tom, said Huck. Ghosts are better than them. The three men were now near to the boys. Here, said the third man, young Dr. Robinson. He pointed at a grave. The men started to dig. After half an hour, Muff Potter and Dr. Robinson took the body out of the grave. Why do they want a dead body? Huck asked Tom quietly. Doctors cut them open because they want to learn more about bodies, said Tom. The doctor wanted a second body, but Muff Potter was not happy, and a fight started. Muff Potter and the doctor fought. Muff Potter's knife was on the ground, and Injun Joe took it in his hand. The doctor hit Muff Potter on the head and he fell to the ground. Injun Joe stabbed the doctor with the knife and his dead body fell on top of Muff Potter. The two frightened boys ran away. You're dead now, doctor, said Injun Joe. Good. I never liked you. Next, Injun Joe put the knife in Muff Potter's hand. Muff Potter soon woke up. He saw the knife in his hand and the doctor's dead body. He did not understand. What happened, Joe? Muff Potter asked. It's bad, answered Joe. Why did you do it? I didn't do it. Muff Potter's face turned white. I can't remember. Joe, is it true? Did I do it? I never wanted to do it. You two fought. He hit you on the head, then you stabbed him. He hit you again and then you fell to the ground together. Oh. I don't remember any of that. Please don't tell anyone, Joe. I always liked you, Joe. I helped you. Do you remember? I won't tell anyone, said Injun Joe. You're always good to me, Muff Potter, I won't tell anyone. Muff Potter was happier. He ran away, but he left his knife in the graveyard. Tom and Huck ran back to the village. What will happen now? Who will tell? Will we tell anyone? Asked Tom. No. We can't tell, said Huck. Injun Joe will kill as. Yes, you're right, Huck. Muff Potter can tell, said Huck. Tom thought for a minute and then he said, but, Huck. Muff Potter can't tell. He didn't see because the doctor hit him on the head. How can he tell? Tom looked at Huck. Can we keep quiet about it? He asked. Tom, we have to keep quiet about it. Look, let's make an oath. Yes, said Tom. Let's hold hands and... Oh, no, this is too important for that. We need to write something. Tom wrote, Huck Finn and Tom Sawyer will not tell. Then the boys cut their fingers because they needed blood. With the blood, they wrote the first letters of their names. Tom helped Huck because he could not write H and F. Then they dug into the ground near a tree and hid the oath there. Tom, said Huck, does this stop us telling, always? Of course. We can't say anything about it. Or we will die. Soon everyone in the village heard the news. Muff Potter killed Dr. Robinson, people said. In the afternoon, Muff Potter came back to the graveyard. He cried and he told everyone, I didn't do it, friends. Injun Joe told everyone his story, too, but it was not the true story. Then Muff Potter went to prison. The village also wanted to punish Injun Joe because he opened the grave, but nobody wanted to catch him. Tom was sorry for Muff Potter. He wanted to tell the true story, but he could not. He was too frightened of his oath, and he was too frightened of Injun Joe. Tom and Huck visited Muff Potter in prison, and they took him food and other things. But it was terrible because Muff Potter thanked them a lot. "You're good to me, boys," Muff Potter said. "And I won't forget it. I often helped the boys in the village. And now they forget old Muff. But you two don't forget. Boys, I did a very bad thing and they will punish me for it. Learn from me and don't do bad things." Finally, the trial began. There was one question to answer: did Muff Potter kill Dr. Robinson? The trial was in a tall building in the middle of the village. Every day, Tom and Huck waited in the street outside, but they did not stand together. They did not go inside because it was too terrible. Tom listened to people in the street and he learned about the trial. At the trial, Injun Joe told everyone his story again. At the end of second day, everyone in the village understood one thing: Muff Potter killed Dr. Robinson. They wanted to punish him. The next day, everyone in the village came to watch the end of the trial. Poor Muff Potter looked terrible. At the trial, a man stood up and said, "I saw Muff Potter washing in the river at 1 o'clock in the morning. He saw me and he ran away." Muff Potter's lawyer said, "I have no questions." A second man stood up. "Yes, that knife was with the dead body," he said. "It's Muff's knife." Again the lawyer said, "I have no questions." Muff Potter looked very unhappy. Finally, his lawyer said, "Bring Thomas Sawyer." Nobody understood. What did Tom Sawyer know about Muff Potter? The lawyer asked, "Thomas Sawyer, where were you at 12 o'clock on June 17th? Tom looked at Injun Joe's face and he could not speak. Finally, he said very quietly, "I was in the graveyard." "Speak louder, please. Don't be frightened." "I was in the graveyard." Tom told the true story and he finished with, "Injun Joe killed the doctor with the knife." Crash! Injun Joe pushed past everyone and went through a window. After the trial, nobody could find Injun Joe. In the day, Tom was happy for Muff Potter, but at night he was very frightened of Injun Joe, and he stayed at home. One day, Tom and Huck wanted to dig for treasure. "Where will we dig?" asked Huck. "Oh, anywhere," said Tom. "Why? Do people hide it anywhere?" "No," said Tom. "People only hide treasure in special place. Maybe under a dead tree, but normally under the floor in haunted houses." "I won't hide my treasure," said Huck. "I want to enjoy it." "Me too, but bad men don't do that. They take it from people and then they always hide it." "Don't they come back to get it?" asked Huck. "They come back, but then they can't find it, or they die." Tom and Huck dug for treasure under a dead tree at night, but they found nothing. "I don't like here," said Huck. "I'm frightened of the ghosts." "Me, too," said Tom. "Let's try a different place," said Huck. "I know," said Tom. "The old haunted house." "What?" "I don't like haunted houses, Tom. They're more terrible than dead people." "Yes, but they're only a problem at night." They're all right in the day. Okay, said Huck. Tom and Huck were frightened of the haunted house, but they went inside it anyway. They wanted that treasure. They dig in the house for 20 minutes, but then they heard someone. They quickly hid and they saw two men come in. One of them was Injun Joe. Tom and Huck did not know the other man. The men had a bag with money in it. The men dug in the floor to hide their money, but they found an old box there. There was a lot of money in it. Injun Joe's friend looked at the money and said, "Look. Now you won't need to do that other job." "That job isn't for money," Injun Joe said. "I want to punish someone. And I need your help." "What will we do with this new money?" asked the man. "I'll hide it in my place," answered Injun Joe. "Someone could take it from here." "Of course," said the man. "You mean in the number 1 place?" "No. I'll hide it in the number 2 place, under the cross." Finally, the men left the house with all the money. Then Tom thought of something terrible. Huck, Injun Joe is going to punish someone. He said, "Does he mean me because I told the trial about him?" "Oh, no," said Huck. Tom and Huck wanted to find Injun Joe treasure, but where was the number 2 place? "It could be a room in a hotel," said Tom. There were only 2 hotels in the village. Tom went to the best one first, but a young lawyer had room number 2 there. Room number 2 in the cheaper hotel could be the place. In the cheaper hotel, Tom opened the door to room number 2. He saw something and he ran out of the hotel as fast he could. "Run!" he shouted to Huck in the street. "Run or die!" Tom and Huck ran and ran. "I nearly stood on Injun Joe's hand," said Tom. "No," said Huck. "Yes, Injun Joe's sleeping on the floor." "Did you see the box?" asked Huck. "Huck, I didn't wait to look. I didn't see the box. I didn't see the cross. I only saw a bottle next to Injun Joe." "We need to wait," said Huck. "He'll leave and then we can take the box." "Yes, let's watch every night," said Tom. "I'll watch," said Huck. "I'll watch all night, but you must come for the box." "All right, I will," said Tom. "You must wake me up and tell me to come." "I'll watch that hotel every night for a year," said Huck. "I'll sleep all day and I'll watch all night." That evening, Huck watched the hotel from the street. Everyone went inside and the night was quiet. Huck waited, but nothing happened. He was tired and he began to question the plan. Then the door opened, and 2 men walked out. One man carried something big under his arm. "It must be the treasure," thought Huck. "They're taking it away. There's no time to get Tom. I have to go with the men now." The men walked out of the village and Huck went behind them. They didn't see him because it was dark. The men walked up Cardiff Hill, past an old Welshman's house. After a long way, they stopped near the house of Widow Douglas. Widow Douglas was a kind old woman. Her husband was dead and now only she lived in the house. Good, thought Huck. They'll hide the treasure here. I can find it tomorrow. But the bad men had other plans. Oh, no, said Injun Joe, quietly to the second man. There's light in Widow Douglas's house. Maybe someone is visiting her. Huck's heart went cold. Injun Joe did not plan to punish Tom. He wanted to punish Widow Douglas. Let's go, said the other man. No, said Injun Joe darkly. We'll wait. We're doing it tonight. Her husband was an important man and he was always bad to me. He's dead now, but I can punish his wife. Oh, don't kill her, said the other man. Don't do that. I'm not going to kill her, Injun Joe said. I'm going to cut off her nose and her ears. And you, my friend, you will help me, or I kill you. Do you understand? I will kill you and then I will kill her. Huck walked away quietly and then he ran as fast as he could back to the Welshman's house. The old man and his two sons looked out of their windows. Who's making that noise? Shouted the Welshman. What do you want? Quick. I'll tell you everything, said Huck. Who's there? Asked the Welshman. It's Huckleberry Finn. Can I come in? Huck Finn, said the old man. That name doesn't open many doors, but I'll listen to you. Please don't tell anyone my name, Huck said first. They'll kill me, but the window is a good friend to me. That boy has some important news, thought the Welshman. Say it, boy, he said to Huck. Nobody here will tell. Huck started to tell them the story. After 3 minutes, the old man and his two strong sons left to go to Widow Douglas's house. Early the next morning, Huck went back to the Welshman's house. Who's there? It's only Huck Finn. That name can open this door any day or night, boy, come in, said the old man happily. These were strange words for Huck to hear. Now, my boy, he said. Last night, we found the two men, but they ran away. Huck looked frightened. What's wrong, my boy? Asked the old man kindly. You know something about those men, don't you? What is it? Huck looked into the old man's eyes and he said, one of them is Injun Joe. The news about Injun Joe traveled fast through the village. Everyone talked about it, but soon there was something new to talk about. No one could find Tom and Becky. 3 days before, on Saturday, Tom, Becky, and lots of other children traveled by boat down the river. They stopped at a beautiful place and had a wonderful day. They played games and ate lunch. Then, somebody said, "Who's ready for the caves?" Everyone was ready. All the children went into the dark caves with candles. The caves were very big and went a long way under the ground. Tom knew them well, but he did not know all of them. Everyone enjoyed playing in the caves. After the visit, they traveled on the boat back to St. Petersburg. They were all happy after their adventures. But Tom and Becky were not on the boat, and nobody saw that. Tom and Becky had a wonderful afternoon in the caves. On and on they went, down and down into the ground. Then it was quiet and they were cold. "What time is it?" asked Becky. "Where is everyone?" "We're down below them," said Tom. "We must go back." "Can you find the way, Tom?" They tried to find their way out of the caves, but everything looked strange. Tom talked very happily because he did not want Becky to be frightened. In his heart, he had little hope. Then he shouted loudly, but no one came to help them. Becky sat on the ground and she cried. "Oh, Tom. Can we never leave this terrible place?" They had 2 candles, but they only used one. They had to keep the other one for later. Becky understood, and her hope died again. They walked for a long time, until Becky was too tired. She sat sadly on the ground. Tom sat next to her and he talked happily about home and their friends, and their warm beds. Then Becky cried. Tom tried to make her happier, but he could not. Finally, she slept. When she woke, she cried more. "Oh, how could I sleep?" she said. "Waking up is too terrible." Tom said, "Come on, Becky. Now we will find our way home." They found some water in the cave and Tom kindly gave Becky some of his food. After some hours, Becky slept again. Tom had some string. He put one end near Becky and he took the other end with him. He tried going different ways. Then he turned a corner and he stopped. Someone was there. He saw a man's hand with a candle. It was Injun Joe, with the money. Tom's heart nearly stopped, and he could not move. But Injun Joe did not see or hear Tom. Injun Joe quickly dug into the ground and hid the money. Then he ran away. Tom went back to Becky, but he said nothing to her about Injun Joe. Aunt Polly and Mrs. Thatcher waited for Tom and Becky on Saturday night. They did not come home. On Sunday, 200 men left the village to look for the 2 children. Many women visited Aunt Polly and Mrs. Thatcher, and they cried with them. For 3 terrible days and nights there was no news. Where were Tom and Becky? On Tuesday, the village went to bed very sad. But in the middle of night, there was a lot of noise and everyone came out into the streets. "They're here! They're here!" People shouted. "Tom and Becky are back!" Tom and Becky came home thanks to Tom. He looked all over the caves. Becky held the end of the string each time, until Tom found a new way out. Tom told everyone all about their adventures. But 3 days and nights in a cave are not easy. He and Becky were very tired and they had to stay in bed for many days. After 2 weeks, Tom saw Becky's father, Judge Thatcher. "The caves will not be a problem for anyone again, Tom," Judge Thatcher told him. "Why not?" asked Tom. "We put a big, strong door on the cave. And only I have the keys. Nobody can get in now." Tom's face turned white. "What's the matter, boy?" "Becky, bring him a glass of water." Tom drank some water and color came back into his face. "Ah, good, you're fine now," said Judge Thatcher. "What was the matter with you, Tom?" "Oh, Judge Thatcher, Injun Joe's in the cave," said Tom. They all went to the cave, and Judge Thatcher opened the door. On the floor lay Injun Joe's dead body. Our story is nearly finished, but there is one more adventure for Tom and Huck. Tom remembered the new way back into the cave and also the place with Injun Joe's treasure. He and Huck took the string with them and soon they found the drawing of a cross on the wall of the cave. "Tom, let's go," said Huck. "What? You want to leave the treasure?" Yes, leave it. It's haunted. Injun Joe died here, said Huck. No, he didn't. His ghost will be near the door. No, Tom, it won't. The ghost will stay near the money. I know ghosts, and you do, too. The money is haunted. Tom thought about it. Huck was right, and Tom was frightened. But then remembered the cross. Look, he said. Injun Joe's ghost won't come here because there's a cross. Ghosts hate crosses. Tom, I didn't think of that. Huck was much happier. The boys started to dig under the cross. They worked hard. After 2 hours, they found the treasure box. Wonderful, they said. Well done. They counted the money. There was $12,000. And it was all for Tom Sawyer and Huck Finn. Everybody in St. Petersburg talked about the adventures of Tom Sawyer and Huckleberry Finn and their treasure for a long time.